Avengers Endgame came out 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Time is flying by. Holy crap, it's insane. I wanted to make this video just to talk about the film in general, the impact it made at the box office, and how it beautifully, in my opinion, wrapped up the first three phases of the MCU, and specific moments, the portal scene, Cap picking up Mjolnir, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it and talk about Avengers Endgame 2 years ago. This is insane. Insane. Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again, another video for you guys. Like I was saying, 2 years. It's crazy to think that. Honestly, it feels like time is flying by so fast because it feels like it came out a lot sooner. Not 2 years ago. Like, it's crazy, but so much has happened in terms of the world and everything since the release of Endgame, and other stuff has come out in, of course, 2020 and what we're still dealing with now in 2021. So maybe that's what it is. But I want to start off with this video by talking about the box office impact, because this film changed so much in terms of box office. So I'm going to pull it up here. First, I want to talk about just in general the fact that the film made 2.7 billion, almost 2.8, because it made 2,797,000,000. It was pretty close, like almost 2.8 billion. And at one point, this film was the highest grossing film of all time until Avatar got re-released and then took the spot away. I think eventually Endgame will be re-released at some point and it'll take it back. Who knows? But here's the craziest thing that stands out so much about Avengers Endgame in terms of its opening weekend, because it opened to 357 million its opening weekend. And I remember when Avengers Infinity War, the year before Endgame came out, of course, the previous Avengers film, made 257 million, it broke the record. It surpassed all the other films, because there was films after, I think the first Avengers film, 2012, was the first one to break 200 million at the time. And then slowly throughout the years, other films were creeping past it, going 210, 215, 220, 230, 240, and then Infinity War set at 257, and then Endgame, 357. 100 million more, basically. And people thought it's unheard of. There's no way a film is ever going to reach 300 million opening weekend. The fact that Infinity War hit 257 was a pretty insane feat. They're like, 300 million's out of the question. It broke 100 million more than the previous Avengers and set the record. I don't think it'll ever be beat in terms of that record. It's insane to think about. And I also wanted to look at, too, its opening weekend in terms of how much less it was earning per weekend, because 357 opening is just unheard of. It's never been done before. I don't think it'll ever be done again. That's where at least I stand on it. The second weekend, it earned 147 million on its second weekend domestic. Now, a lot of blockbuster films would love for a 147 million opening weekend. That's what Endgame earned on its second opening weekend. Oh my gosh, the insane amount of money. And by the second weekend was finished up for Avengers Endgame, the film earned 621 million domestic alone. And the fact that I think the number was 1.2 or 1.3 billion globally by the end of the first weekend, the opening weekend of Endgame, that's just insane in terms of the box office. I mean, it's so significant. It's so significant about how much money the film earned. And then it continued, of course, to go on and on and on and on. People are like, is it going to reach Avatar? And eventually it passed it. And of course, Avatar has taken it back. I think what was so significant about it is the fact that there were so many moments and so many highlights that the film gave us as fans that people just kept going back to watch it. The fact that it's 3 hours, too, is what really surprised me about the fact that it earned 357 opening weekend, a million, because a 3-hour film, you would think you would earn less because of how long and then how many, times you'd have to play it throughout the day at a theater in order to even reach that amount of money and that amount of time it to be seen for it to even reach that. But there were so many theaters that were just playing it nonstop in all of their rooms that they had. They just took, basically, there might have been one or two theaters within an actual theater that was running other films, but the rest of them were just running Endgame throughout the whole entire day. There was sold out, theaters or whatever, sold out rooms in the morning and late at night. And, that's unheard of. But the film was doing it because of how significant it was. The portal scene is so significant because it is the turning point of the film. The last act is just, to me, one of the greatest things I've ever seen in film is the third act, and how everything just unfolds with the portal scene, and how there is a gigantic war, which marketing leading up to the release was hiding all of that for the most part. Like, I don't remember them anywhere in a trailer highlighting a gigantic war in the third act of this movie. They were hiding all of it pretty much. They were barely showing anything. They did it so well. They did it so well and made it work. And I still think back on that portal scene. There's tons of audience reactions you can watch online of people reacting to that entire portal scene. And it is something I go back to from time to time, just to watch different audiences reacting to that portal scene where Cap gets the message from Sam on your left, and then Black Panther comes through the portal, and then all the portals start opening up, and it's the start of something magical, in my opinion. It's so crazy to think about. People, there's been a number of people that still talk about the fact they wish they could go back and rewatch the portal scene for the first time, experience it for the first time again, because how it changed so much. I mean, this film, in my opinion, found a way to wrap up the Infinity Saga in these first three phases of the MCU in a beautiful way, with paying off so many things, characters reuniting, and fixing what happened at the end of Infinity War, of course, with Thanos snapping the gauntlet, and just the fact that Tony sacrificed himself to save everybody, and how everybody was working together for the most part, and Avengers Assemble was actually said by Cap picking up Mjolnir during the Thanos fight, and the fact that this Thanos is not even the Thanos that we fought in Infinity War. It was a completely different Thanos in the timeline. It's insane. So many curveballs thrown into the mix in this film. It will go down as one of the most memorable films, at least for me, in terms of the MCU, and maybe just in general in film, because I can't honestly tell you what other, like, a number of other films that made me as excited, as hyped as this movie did. Was there some slow moments and stuff that I wasn't a big fan of? Sure. But this film delivered so much in terms of what I wanted to see, and it gave me so much more than I was just expecting. I was expecting this, and it kept adding stuff to it. To go even higher. Just kept getting crazier. I just can't believe it exists. The film actually exists. That's the craziest thing. Because we thought Infinity War was like reaching like the top of where the MCU could go in terms of how many characters could they have in a movie? How many things can they actually do in one film? And they somehow did it with the Endgame. They just kept adding more and more and more and more. It's crazy. It is. This film is so significant. And I think what's also great about Endgame is that it does give you a little bit of a sense of where the MCU could go in terms of Phase 4, which, of course, we've seen Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision already within Phase 4 as I'm recording this video, but it really focused mainly on just wrapping up things here in terms of the Infinity Saga is being wrapped up, and this is where we're going to kind of focus on here is towards the end here. So that was pretty smart on their part to make sure the focus is on that and not so much setting up a bunch of other stuff. They were, of course, hinting at stuff with Thor and the Guardians and just little snippets here and there about where they could go within Phase 4 and onward past the Infinity Saga and past this point in the story. And I think they did a great job with it. I really do. So overall, Endgame is an emotional film that made a huge impact, that wrapped up the first three phases in a big way, in my opinion. And I cannot believe that this film actually happened because, you know, the first phase could have failed and crumbled and burned. We thought the first Avengers was a giant film because they brought all these characters together. We had no idea where it was going. And I think they found the right people to write it, with Marcus and McFeely, and directing wise for Russo brothers. They found a great team to direct it and to write it, to bring it together, the two different teams there, to really bring forth this film and to make it impactful, to make it what it is. Insane. So what are your thoughts and memories of Avengers Endgame? Do you think after 2 years it's still as significant in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it was when it released? What are some of your highlights for the film overall? And just in general, what are your thoughts about Avengers Endgame? I'm curious to know your thoughts, guys. Whatever thoughts you have, let me know in the comment section below, guys. Hope you guys are having a great day. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.